Eric Mao, if you're with us, you can just
Yeah.
unmute.
Thank you so much, Ken. As you have heard, my name is Eric Mao. I have a background in data analytics and actual science. So my expectation today is the data analysis, Power BI. But then I was also looking for SQL and Excel. So I'm following you from Kisumu, not in Nairobi, actually. Thank you so much.
Great. All the way from Europe. I hear it is the only millennial city north of the river Limpopo and south of the Sahara. Awesome. Thanks from Kisumu. Now, also want to pass this to Julius Kipkemboi. Julius, if you can hear me, just unmute and take over the session. Julius, are you in? Okay, if Julius is not in, let me choose Edward Koganga.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon to you.
So Edward Kuganga is my name. My background is in insurance, but of course, I have some interest in data and analytics, and especially Power BI. So what I'm looking forward to is just to be able to see on how to give better analytics and, of course, visualization, just to know how to operate and juggle data in Power BI. And of course, I'm hoping that even subsequently we can have more of such trainings to be able to enhance the experience in data. Thank you.
Awesome. I like the specific words that you've used. Operate and juggle different points of intersection between data. It's very it's a very interesting perspective, by the way, because from we say the world today is we are so full of information that at times you might be missing out on the important bits while concentrating on the least important ones. Now, for today, we want to get to know like where exactly are we going to integrate all this different info and how is Power BI playing a part in this. Now, allow me introduce Susan. Susan will do a little bit of the introduction on the company, and then just hand it over from there. Susan, in a minute or so.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope we are all good, safe and warm. It's a little bit cold also in Nairobi. So my name is Susan. I work at Predictive Analytics, and Predictive Analytics is a company that is formed on the background of big data, the emergence of big data. So we are essentially a data-centric company, and we aim to equip people with the knowledge and the skills that they require to know how to handle data. As we know, across all industries, banking, media, insurance, we have a lot of data. We have large volumes of data all across the world right now. So we train you and we equip you with skills and knowledge on various tools that you can use. And some of the tools that we train you on are Tableau, SQL, Power BI, Python, and Excel. We educate you and give you the relevant skills on how to handle data in terms of data cleaning, data processing, visualization, as well as analysis using those different tools. So if you're looking to get into the field of data, either as a business analyst, as a data scientist, as a data analyst, as a data engineer, we have training that is equipped to individuals. We also offer training at a corporate level. So for instance, if you're in the banking industry and you're a HR in the banking industry, then we come in and we equip you with skills on how to handle data that will enable you to quicken your HR processes, matters recruitment, talent management, and all of that. We also do software development as well. So our software is essentially built around data and AI, meaning we come in to develop software that you require. For instance, it might be a financial management system. We'll develop a system that is built around data and that is also has AI capabilities, meaning it's able to adapt to changes as you go and to collect more data and to analyze it as well. We also offer consultancy services. And so for today, we'll have the Power BI webinar. We also have an upcoming Power BI training as well. So for today, let us learn as much as we can. I'll drop a link to our website and you can check us out. So at the end of the webinar, I believe we'll have a Q&A section. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that is what predictive analytics does. For more information, you can check out our website. Yeah, let's enjoy the webinar. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was lovely. Thank you for the amazing work you're doing on predictive analytics. I hope data is your friend and it continues being your friend. Awesome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time and without much ado, I'd like to introduce to us our speaker for the day. That is Mr. Habakkuk Senelwa. Now, Mr. Habakkuk is an experienced data analyst with a demonstrated history of working in the oil and energy sector. He's skilled in team motivation, Microsoft Office, statistical data analysis, and some good command of the Queen's language. He has a strong information, technology professional with a Bachelor of Science Statistics, focused on mathematics and statistics from the University of Nairobi. Now, currently is a business intelligence analyst from Kasha Global Incorporation, and he's done a lot of projects in this field and is also one of the trainers at Predictive Analytics. I trust that you're going to learn a lot from him, and at the end of the day, you'll become a changed man or a changed lady. As our thoughts or our problems are now becoming anew or they are evolving, I also want to implore all of us to change, be always willing to learn, relearn, and unlearn at every stage in life. Mr. Habakkuk, welcome. I want you to take the stage. I know I've not done you justice when it comes to the introduction, but I want you to spice up the soup of introduction. Marinate the little food that I've put on the table when it comes to your personality. Let the audience know who they're interacting with and what they can expect from you. Over to you, Habakkuk. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ken, for this opportunity to be able to share with you more about Power BI during this particular session. So I'm glad to be a part of predictive analytics and also just to be able to bring to you I'm glad to be sharing Power BI and how it can be able to be used in terms of enhancing our reporting and our data visualization skills. Kindly be louder. Okay. Am I audible enough? Just to confirm, anyone, am I audible? Okay, just a second. I need to check my settings on my computer. Check. I hope I'm audible enough now. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was saying yeah, thank you for this opportunity, Ken, to be able to share more about Power BI and how it can be used to be able to transform reporting in the organization, and also just doing some level of data visualization. I believe this will be able to just give us like a sneak preview into what to expect, especially those who intend to be able to join and to be a part of the course. I believe that will be like a good introduction, and just being able to show you the environment and the framework of how Power BI is able to operate in, and give us that particular urge to be able to enroll. So as Ken has been able to say, I'm a BI analyst at my level, and being able to practice and being able to like provide solutions around data for the past 5 years, and such a pleasure also to be a part of predictive analytics as a trainer. And majorly, I think in the past few months, we've done so much around the HR space, so HR analytics and how it can be used to be able to enhance decision making around people management. And so today I'll dwell majorly on the general side of how we can be able to utilize Power BI for data visualization and reporting. So just allow me to be able to share my screen as we start this off. Hope you guys can see my screen, right? Someone kindly confirm in the chat that you can see my screen. Okay. So Power BI. So the evolution of Power BI. So we begin here. Power BI was first came into life in 2011. But most of its features, like in terms of renaming it into Power BI, that was in 2013, around 2016. So you can be able to see the evolution that has really happened in terms of even the icon that is being used. That has really changed, meaning there's been also a lot of development in terms of how the tool has been changed over time to be able to accommodate quite number of functionalities, just to be able to enable what I can call the level of detail that is required to be able to achieve different capabilities in the industry. So just being able to look at that, we can be able to see here that first, it was initially referred to as Crescent, and it's an idea that came from a guy at Microsoft by the name Ron George. He just wanted to come up with a tool that will be able to fetch and present data effectively. And so that's why he was able to coin around the Crescent application. And then over time, this has evolved, and when we're able to come to what we now currently call Power BI. So the main aim was basically to be able to provide an ease in terms of understanding data visualization capabilities. So the collaboration with the Microsoft SQL Server Reporting Services team. So he was able to team up with other individuals within Microsoft, and majorly the SQL side, who played a crucial role in shaping what we now have as Power BI into the market. So this expertise contributed to evolution of Power BI into a comprehensive business analytics tool. And we'll be able to see further into our presentation the qualities that Power BI is able to boast us of this particular current era, including integration with AI, which is now starting to be like a really major tool in terms of providing insights into data. And so we can be able to see it was released as a package in Office 365 now. That is in September 2013, and it went public. So it was now available to like as a package to other individuals into the market. And on July 24th, 2015, it became publicly available, separate from now the Office suite. So you could be able to download it separately from the Office suite. And that is actually what has been happening. you can easily be able to download Power BI separately, even if you don't have the Office suite, and you can be able to utilize it to be able to create data visualizations on what we call the Power BI desktop. I think I'll share more about it. Then, so how Power BI is used to be able to transfer raw data into meaningful insights, useful information that can be able to enable organizations to be able to make data-informed decisions. And so just maybe, and I know most of us at the back of our mind could be asking yourself, so what is Power BI? So Power BI is a comprehensive business analytics service, analytics service by Microsoft that transforms data into actionable insights. I think I'll also be able to share maybe an example of a dashboard or a report that you've been able to build that is able to like leverage Power BI in terms of these insights. So there are a couple of components that Power BI is able to boast about. So the first one is what we call the Power BI desktop, which we are talking about. So Power BI desktop, it means you can easily be able to download it from the Microsoft Store. Then from this Power BI desktop now, you'll be able to understand the entire ecosystem, which carries a couple of features. So once you have the Power BI desktop, you'll have the capability to be able to publish this report in terms of collaboration into what we call the Power BI service. So you publish the report, it goes into service, and then you can share it with other people within the organization. So the report is not yours alone. But this will require definitely for you to have a license. Then you have the Power BI mobile, still an aggregation of the Power BI server. So you can still be able to access your Power BI reports over your mobile. We have what we call the Power BI gateway. So the Power BI gateway is now what enables you to be able to schedule what we call automated refreshes, so that you don't have to each and every time like you update your data, you don't have to keep on like referencing back to be able to like manually refresh. But if you set up a gateway, it will enable you to easily shelve this level of analytics. Then we have the Power BI applications. So the Power BI apps are basically an aggregation of different reports. So when you are sharing your reports, you can be able to create an app so that when someone wants to come, they can come to one landing page and they'll be able to like have access to the different types of reports. So say, for example, you're just creating maybe reports for people maybe within what we call maybe a supply chain department or a HR department. So you can easily just be able to like create your reports directly that will be tailored towards them in that into that particular. Sorry for that. And then just as we continue, so when we're talking about the Power BI desktop, so Power BI desktop is really available. Anyone can be able to download it. Anyone can easily be able to download the Power BI desktop onto their computers. For those who are using Windows, I'm not sure it's available on Mac OS. So I think Microsoft are a little bit selfish because of the tool. So you can easily be able to download this Power BI desktop on your own if you have a Windows operating system. And then from there, you can be able now to do your free analytics and visualizations. You can be able to connect to different data sources on this Power BI desktop. Then you'll be able now to transform your data and be able to like create reports. So it has 3 views: the report view, what you call the report view, the data view, and the model view. And then we have what you call the Power BI service, as I already mentioned. So on the Power BI service, it's just like an online, it's a web-based platform. So this is where you are able now to get your reports in terms of like you want to be able to share them. So it's like a web interface. So this one requires you to have like a subscription, either a pro subscription or a premium subscription. And then of late, I think Microsoft have also introduced what we call the Microsoft Fabric. So it's able to integrate now the entire Power BI interface. So you'll be able to have all your data into what we call the one lake. And then you'll do your analysis still in the Power BI, like into Fabric, and still bring your insights back into Power BI. Then you'll still have the data engineering capabilities that were initially being done on think some of the interfaces on Microsoft. And then now on the data science aspect has also been improved, bringing in also the AI capabilities into Microsoft Fabric. So we have the free version, which is the desktop version. We have the pro version, we have the premium version, and of course, we boast now of Microsoft Fabric, which is the license is a little bit more expensive. I think for the pro version, I think you only have to pay, I think should be $10 per user per month. So that's not quite expensive. But when you go now to the premium version, I think it's much more slightly expensive. Then Fabric is even more expensive. I think should be 4,000 and something, $4,500 per month because of the capabilities that it's able to boast. But you can still begin at this simple Power BI desktop just to be able to do your reporting. Then over time, you go on building those capabilities. The other beautiful feature about Power BI is that what we talk about is it's a self-service analytics tool. Self-service in a sense that you can easily be able to learn it, especially for those who've been able to interact with Microsoft Excel. You can easily be able to learn Power BI to be able to make sense out of it and just enhance your capabilities in terms of analytics. Now you transfer that knowledge into learning Power BI so that instead of doing repetitive tasks on a day-to-day basis, you can easily be able to automate and just have it set up so that that task that you normally do monthly or daily, you automate it back into Power BI and then you just leverage on refreshing. When you talk about the Power BI report server, we are just basically still talking about Power BI service. Now it now comes to a point whereby when you finished creating a report on the Power BI desktop, you'll be able to publish them into a Microsoft server, which now avails your reports on the web interface, where you can be able now to view your reports and you can easily share within different people within the organization on browsers, web browsers, mobile devices, and even emails. And then Power BI even right now with the level of advancement that has continued to happen is that if you're using Office 365, this has now been enhanced and you can easily now get to integrate even your Power BI reports. If they're on Microsoft Power BI service, you can easily be able to add them to your PowerPoint presentations. You can add them into your Microsoft Teams. You can easily also be able to automate and schedule to be able to set triggers. So say for example, if you had targets for a specific month and you're doing your sales and you realize maybe your targets and you're lagging behind your targets by a certain date, so you need to set maybe certain threshold so that it's able to send you notifications. So it's it sends you notification based on the triggers that you've been able to set so that you come to a point of realizing maybe what action or what steps you need to be able to take. So when you're talking about the key components here in Power BI, you have the Power BI Gateway. I think I've already shared with you about it. About the Power BI Mobile, Power BI Mobile is available still on iOS, but the Power BI desktop is not available on macOS, so that is something also to note. So it allows you to be able to view reports and dashboards on the go. So you don't necessarily, once these reports have already been created, for those who are able to leverage onto the data sources coming from sources that are near real time. Say for example, IoT sensors or maybe servers that is streaming data from somewhere. So you can easily be able to just schedule the refreshes and then you'll enable your teams wherever they are so that they already getting the data. Then for Power BI apps, so the Power BI applications are available on Windows again. So the apps, so that particular applications are also available. So once you create the apps is basically just an aggregation of reports that have been tailored towards maybe a specific group of users. So it's able to facilitate you to be able to look at those particular reports. And then again, here we are just looking at the same thing. So Power BI service, major focus is looking into collaboration, sharing, and consumption of business insights. And then for the Power BI desktop, it's basically creation, visualization, and sharing of reports in a nutshell. Then the Power BI report server, basically it's just an on-premise report hosting and management framework from Microsoft. Power BI Gateway, secure data extraction and connection to on-premise sources. So this just allows you. So you have your on-premise server in your organization. So you'll be able to like install that Power BI gateway on it so that your reports can easily be able to refresh directly without like any like manual interventions required by anyone. Then the Power BI mobile just being able to help you to be able to view reports and dashboards on mobile devices and on the go. So wherever, even if you have your sales teams in the field, they can easily be able to visualize and see whatever like how the markets are moving, like because we are in an era where like data is everything, and so it's able to provide those insights unto them wherever they are, and help you to be able to make decisions. Then when you're talking about the Power BI apps, I just said this is like an aggregation of reports that have been tailored towards different personas within the business. Then a little bit more about those particular components in Power BI. I was talking about Power Query. So when you talk about Power Query, you're basically looking at a very advanced tool on Power BI that enables you to be able to do data cleaning. You're able to search, access information, transform it, make it into what you want, so that you can easily be able to leverage on it. And then then we have the Power Pivot. Power Pivot, again, here just being able to help you to be able to handle data modeling for in-memory analytics in Power BI. Then we have the Power View, enables you to create visualizations, analysis, and display of data within Power BI. The Power BI Maps. So you have Power BI Maps. So Power BI Maps enables you to be able to visualize like GIS data, so geographic information systems data. So if you have your maybe data that is coming in as latitudes and longitudes, you can also still be able to create your maps in Power BI. You can be able to create route traces, those geometries, just to be able to understand. Maybe, for example, you're trying to understand the trends around how maybe the people who are in the field, maybe your field agents are moving. You can easily be able to like, if you have an app that is collecting data about them, you can easily be able to create maps. And then the Power BI service, I think I've already mentioned. Then we have this Power BI Q&A. So this is like a large language model. And just to credit, I think Power BI had already come up with this even before the entry of these large language models like ChatGPT into the market, because you could easily be able to go to that Q&A option and you could query like and ask your data. So you don't necessarily to be just some simple prompt engineering skills, and you'll be able to ask Power BI about maybe certain aspects within your data set, and it will be able to like return the value that you want. And then data management and the gateway, I think I've already mentioned that. So again, here we'll just, in a nutshell, Power Query extracts and transforms data from various sources for data analysis, Power Pivot for data modeling tasks, then Power View, interactive visualizations for data analysis and presentation, the maps, helps you to be able to create compelling geographical visualizations for enhanced data exploration. I've already explained much of that, so just move ahead. And then just quickly moving on to what we call the Power BI architecture. So this will enable us to be able to just understand how Power BI works. So for the Power BI architecture, I'm just basically trying to show you how Power BI works. So as you can be able to see over here, we normally always start from a place of extracting data. So I'll show you that Power BI is able to connect to quite like very many data sources. I'll just be able to show you maybe in the next slides. Then once you're able to like get data that is just like extracting, then you're able to like transform that particular data set. Then you load it onto like your Power BI desktop. I think it's able to handle like huge memory in terms of the data set. And then once you're able to do that, you'll now be able now to like start doing the modeling and stuff. Then you'll now be able to like start creating your reports and your dashboards in terms of scorecards, and then you'll now share it out to business users. So in a nutshell, what I've been able to just show you in terms of the key components in Power BI, you can now be able to see it here now in use. So how it's able to integrate and to be able to push all these things to enable business users in different ways. Any questions up to them? Any questions? Okay, silence means no questions. So allow me just to continue.
Hi. Sorry, Habakkuk.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's a question on the chat. Allow me just to read it to you.
Okay.
There's a question from Joy. She's asking, what are the prerequisites to use Power BI? E.g., do I need to have a certain level of understanding in SQL, Excel, etc.? Yes, I think that was the question.
Okay. Thank you, Joy, for the question. So prerequisites, I'll say if you have some good level knowledge in Excel, that is like a critical like advantage. Like it's a very, very like huge added advantage. But if you want to start from just even scratch, I believe the learning curve is not like very steep. At least from the very, very first days, you can easily be able to figure out your way. It's just like any other Microsoft Office product. The views are almost similar, only a few like things that are a little bit different. In terms of SQL, no, I'll say SQL is not a prerequisite for you to be able to learn, because when you are doing Power BI, it just depends with the data sources that you'll be getting data from. So if it requires you to get data from a SQL server, then it will require you to be able to learn some knowledge around SQL. But for you to do Power BI, you can get data from other sources that are not necessarily SQL. Say, for example, you can get data from Google Sheets, you can load data from Excel, you can load data from applications like Google BigQuery. So it's not like SQL is not a necessity, say, because it depends on the type of like data source that you're loading into Power BI. And then just again, still about the demonstration around the architecture. So you can be able to see we have the Power Query, then we have the Power BI desktop coming here, and then we have the Power BI Pro. So the Power BI Pro basically is just what we are talking about, the Power BI service, enabling you to be able to share reports to different users within the organization, and then also helping you to be able to like do the collaboration. Then when you're talking about the Power Query, so Power Query enables you to be able to fetch, so the ETL process, so extract, transform, then you're able to load it to your Power BI. Then from Power BI now is where you do the modeling. So you're able to build different types of relationships within your data set. You're able to create different calculations. Here you're doing calculated columns. You're able to perform your calculations just to be able to respond to the different needs based on your users. And then of course you'll proceed to be able to create your visualizations. Now here is now you start building your reports. Once you are done, you'll do the publishing. So it's just an iteration process: extract, transform, model, do your calculations, visualize, publish, and your reports will be available to your users. So just that simple process. And so someone might be asking themselves, why is it important for us to be able to learn Power BI? So why Power BI and not other tools? I think there's a slide where I'll show you also the comparison of the other tools in the market. So Power BI, it has a very user-friendly interface. For those, I know most of us have been able to interact with Microsoft applications. So I'm not here like advocating for Microsoft. I've not been paid by Microsoft. That's a disclaimer, but just to be able to show you is that it has a user-friendly interface for those who've been able to interact with the Microsoft products. And then it's able to connect to various data sources, Excel, SQL, different cloud-based interfaces, including Google BigQuery. And then we're also able to like create, it helps you to be able to create interactive and visually appealing reports. Interactive, by interactive, I mean with the Power BI, once you're able to create your reports, and then you click on one chart, the other charts will also be able to interact. So I think when I demonstrate on maybe one of the dashboards I'll share maybe at the end of the class, I'll be able to show you how that comes up. And then it also helps you to be able to enable data-driven decision making, because you can easily be able to collaborate with different individuals within the organization. So that's a plus and an additional thing. It's cost effective because I think if you can get all these capabilities in terms of reporting and creating your data visualizations at only $10 per month per user, because I think one user who is able to like create like the publishing, who is able to do like publishing at $10 per month, and then that is cost effective as compared to other tools in the market. And then another reason, so as you might be aware, there are other tools in the market, and so we have this Gartner chart. So I was able to compare the years 2018 and 2022, and as you can be able to see, in 2018, Tableau is actually another business intelligence software that has been piloted by Salesforce, and you can be able to see how Gartner able to like create Gartner is like a market research firm that normally like is able to look at how different players are able to like create solutions into the market. And as of 2018, you can see Tableau and Microsoft are competing shoulder to shoulder. But come 2022, so Microsoft was able to take like a very clear lead into the market, and you can be able to see it's like a very like robust tool, and being used by most organizations in terms of their business intelligence solution. And so what we can be able to see is that just to notice that actually Tableau was first launched in 2005, whereas Microsoft was launched at 2011. But you can still be able to see how fast Microsoft Power BI has been able to grow and to become a leader in the industry. And so you can also be able to see there's this report in 2021 shared by TrustRadius platform, data collected in June 2021. So in 2021, actually, Microsoft Power BI was boasting a 36% market share compared to other tools that are being used by other organizations in the market, followed closely by Tableau. So yeah, those are like some of the key tools you can easily be able to find being used as business intelligence softwares in the market. So again, so what are some of the industries that are utilizing some of these particular tools? So number one, we have the banking and financial services. You'll realize they are using these to be able to do their reporting, to be able to provide like the reports to different individuals, their dashboards, just to be able to surface information in real time. We have retail and e-commerce industries, we have healthcare and pharmaceutical industry, we have manufacturing and industries that are utilizing it. You have telecommunications industries, you have energies and utilities that are utilizing all these particular tools. And of course, that said, we have the pros and the cons. So a little bit of the limitations here: when you're sharing reports, you can only be able to share it with users within the same email domain. So what I mean by this is that if my email is on Gmail, say for example, it's a personal email on Gmail, like I can, and I've created reports in an organization email, then someone in the organization cannot share that email externally to me. I have to have emails within the same domain. So it's a limitation, but also, okay, I'll call it a limitation, but also like a good data security measure at the same time, so that your reports are not accessed, because I think data is very critical to any organization, and so you don't want to find like your data having been leaked to like individuals that you don't want. And then there's also that inability to be able to merge data from live connections with on-premise data sets. So I think this is also still something that Power BI is working on. And then we have that maximum data size constraint to 250 MBs for its in-memory database. So it's also like slowing down processes for larger data sets. So if we're in the era of big data, you might find yourself like requiring to try to filter out. So maybe you have a very huge data set because you have very many transactions or you have very many customers. So you have to limit like the data that you're able to pull in so that your reports are optimal and faster on maybe on the queries that you create. Yeah, and then so a little bit of comparison between the tools. So I just picked at least 3 tools that maybe some of you might be familiar with. Of course, I've talked about Tableau, but there's also what we call Google Data Studio. I think it has now been renamed now to Looker. So formerly, we used to have Google Data Studio. So Google is also coming up with this particular business intelligence platform, which is being used to compete the other players in the market like Power BI and Tableau. So when you're looking at Data Studio, it's also a business intelligence platform. And these are the advantages. With the Power BI desktop, it's free, anyone can use it, at least $10 per user for the server, which is the Microsoft Power BI Pro. You can easily be able to utilize it. And then you have the Power Query to enable you to do your editing. You can easily be able, it's easier for you to use, it's easier for you to use if you are familiar with Microsoft Excel. I think this also answers to the question Joe had initially asked. Then another beauty is that you have capabilities in R and Python. You can be able to create your scripts in Python and R. You are enabled within the Power BI environment. So this is like a very, very big advantage. Then you have what you call direct connection with OneDrive and other Microsoft ecosystems. So those who use Microsoft ecosystems within their businesses, yeah, this is a very, very big advantage. Then you have good community and support. Also, this is like an important key, because when you get stuck and you want to look at maybe some documentations, and then I think there's a platform by Microsoft called Learn. So you can easily be able to find some level of documentation there to help you to get going. So it's easy to start with powerful data transformation capabilities. Then Tableau is a little bit more expensive. So for you to get that particular desktop version, it's not free. You have to pay $70. I don't know if this has changed, but maybe we need to explore that. I haven't used Tableau regularly. And then you have the server again. You have to pay another $12 per user per month. Then you have long legacy, and it's widely adopted. And then you have beautiful data visualizations within the Tableau gallery. You can do fancy graphs, better map support, maybe compared to what Power BI has. Then you have a strong community and support. So that's also an advantage. And then for Data Studio, it's free. It's within the Google ecosystem. It can be able to help you to do the Google Analytics, the Google Ads, the Google Form. The refreshes are a bit faster. I think being able that it boasts on the Google services. So that's also an advantage. So when you're looking at this particular Looker, it's also a tool that maybe you can get interested. If you're interested to learn about an extra business intelligence platform, you can consider it. And then so why is it some of the popular ones? So we've already talked about Power BI, Tableau, Looker. We have another one called ClickView. We have IBM, Cognos Analytics. We have MicroStrategy, Csense, Domo, Yellowfin BI, SAP, Business Objects. So those are some just of the tools that you can be able to utilize when you're looking at business intelligence tools in the market, of which I still think Power BI still stands out. So maybe I stand challenged on this, maybe with someone else in future to be able to talk about it. But maybe you can start with Power BI as you continue to learn maybe the rest. And then, so about the operational workflow in Power BI, you just start by what you're talking about, connecting your data sources, then you transform your data, you do some level of modeling, and then you do your visualizations and you share your reports. So just those 5 basic steps, and you'll be there in terms of your visualization. So you feed your data. So you start from a point of where am I getting my data? What type of data is it? And then you're able to load it into Power BI. You're able to do some level of transformation. If you need to do the modeling, say, for example, you have data maybe for customers, you have another data for their daily transactions. So you're able to link them in your model. Then now, once you're able to create your model, you now start creating now your visualizations. Maybe you just now start looking at maybe the requirements in terms of the business domain that you want to be able to respond to. And then, so someone might ask, what are some of the types of dashboards someone can be able to build in Power BI, or some of the reports someone can be able to build. So we normally have, they aggregated into 4. Number 1, we have this what we call strategic dashboards. So on the strategic dashboard, they're basically able just to focus on long-term goals and the overall business health. Then you have what we call operational dashboards. These are able to monitor day-to-day operations and ensure efficiency. So these are like dashboards that are able to look at what you do on a day-to-day, daily sales, daily maybe number of customers served. Then we have what you call the analytical dashboards. They support data-driven decision making and insight. So the analytical dashboards are now able to look at more detail in terms of what you're doing. So Power BI gives you that particular capability in what you call the drill through. So you can start with the high level summary, then you can drill further. So through these particular analytical dashboards, so you're able to look at if you are talking about maybe these are the sales that you're able to make yesterday, you'll be able to look at which customers bought, which products were bought and stuff. Then you have tactical dashboards. Tactical dashboards are just short-term created dashboards or reports that are able to look at short-term goals and project progress. So you're just able to create something that is able to look at the short-term in terms of what you want to be able to see and how you want to see it. And then so we'll just quickly look at the 5 steps into our data collection until we're able to share our reports out. So first of all, Power BI can connect to a vast array of data sources, making your data accessible and actionable. So we talked about Power BI having the ability to be able to connect to Excel workbooks. And then we have SQL Server databases. We have CSV and text files. We have the cloud databases, Azure, SQL database, Snowflake, Google BigQuery. So if you have all these available into that particular environment, you can easily be able to look at it. Then you have online services that you can also be able to query your data from. If you have your data on Salesforce, you can easily connect your Power BI with Salesforce and you'll be able to get your data into Power BI for further analysis. Then you can also be able to look at maybe things like Google Analytics services. So Google Analytics as an online service, you're able to get data and to look at it. So on Power BI, this is how it looks like. So you can be able to get data from all these sources that we've been able to mention, including web APIs. If you have data like that is streaming in on an API, you can easily be able to like still get it into Power BI for your analysis. Then the next step, we talked about transformation. So for your transformation in Power BI, we normally have what you call the Power Query Editor. So the Power Query Editor enables you to be able to do your data cleaning. So raw data is like a puzzle with missing pieces. To reveal the full picture, it needs careful preparation. So like any other individual there. So we normally say if you're given data, if you're given a tree to cut, you're given 8 hours to be able to cut the tree. You'll take 7 hours being able to sharpen your axe. So sharpening the axe normally happens here in Power Query, where you do your data transformation, you do your modeling and stuff, and then once you're done, you'll now just proceed to be able to build your data. So you'll spend your data here. So data cleaning, just to be able to ensure data accuracy, reliability, consistency in your data. You're able to fix errors, remove outliers, then you improve the data quality for meaningful analysis. So advantages of Power Query, it's just a robust tool for data cleaning and transformation. It enables you to be able to shape and combine and clean data from various data sources. So what we said is Power BI can be able to connect data from different data sources, and then we'll be able now to just in Power BI do your relationships in Power BI, and then your data will be able to like link, and you can now be able to create your KPIs from that. So it offers a user-friendly interface for data manipulation. And so just an example here. So this is just like an example of how the Power Query Editor looks like. So you can be able to see it can be able to analyze for you a specific column, and you'll be able to see how many entries in that particular column are valid, how many have errors, how many are empty. So you can already start seeing that, and you'll now be able to start explaining yourself. In case someone is able to find maybe something in your data, you can easily be able to tell. So like, for example, the first one is a number. You just be able to know there are 310 distinct values and and 4 of them are unique. So if you're expecting maybe this is an orders table, so maybe you'll just try to see why is it that there are 6, maybe there are 6 duplicates in your data sets. You'll need to try and look into it just to be able to ensure there's consistency in your data. Then we're talking about data modeling. So a well-structured data model is the foundation for accurate and insightful analysis. So this is really, really important, because if you don't know the relationship within your data sets, then it means if you don't create good relationships within your data models, then it means you'll be able to give bad insights. And a friend of mine once told me that it's better to have clean data and reliable data as opposed to having fancy models. So if you fix your models to be right, then it means your insights will be right and they'll be able to drive decision making. So data modeling is just a process of organizing data, defined as a process of organizing data for analysis. You're able to create relationships between different tables. You're able to create hierarchies for grouping data. You're able to create your calculated columns and measures. So this like an example. So you can be able to create different relationships. So this is just an example of a table. So this is what you call a star schema. So you can be able to see how different data sources are able to link and to be able to create different relationships within your tables. And then out of it, now you can start now creating your different metrics for comparison. Then we have another good component in Power BI, which we call DAX. So DAX is just like an expression, data analysis expression language for creating calculations and measures within Power BI. So you'll be able to see that how you can be able to use this to create maybe a formula, and just the same way you're able to write formulas in Excel. So this is also like a way you can be able to be writing your formulas here in Power BI. So you can create either your formula on a measure or a column. So you can create a calculated column using the DAX, or you can create a measure. So all those just to enable you to be able to achieve your data goals. And then we have what we call the examples of these DAX functions. So the DAX functions, you have what we call date and time intelligence functions, just to enable you to do to play around with your date and time data. Then you have information functions, you have what you call logical functions, you have mathematical and trigonometric functions, parent and child functions, statistical functions, text functions, and other functions, just to enable you to be able to play around. So this is an example of DAX syntax. So DAX is a data expression language. So just being able to write just the same way you normally write in Excel. So you can be able to see this is just like, okay, it's closely similar to an if function in Excel, but here it works a little bit more different. So you create a switch which is equal to true, and then you say if the price is less than 100, then I want it to be low. If it's less than 1,000, then I want it to be medium. Else I want the price to be indicated as high price. So it will be able to switch through this particular column that you'll be able to have created. And then as you go ahead again, once you are creating your reports, just remember there's this area around being able to tell a story within your data. So when you're building your reports in Power BI, you need to be able to tell a story so that you're able to engage the different the audience that you're really targeting with the report. So you remember when you're talking about the different types of dashboards that you can be able to build, or the different types of reports that you can be able to build. So this just gives you an avenue for you to be able to now understand how you can be able to tailor your story so that it's able to create impact within the organization. So data visualization is the art of transforming data into compelling stories. What we've been able to learn is that the human brain is able to process visuals faster than text. So if you are given text or maybe tables of data versus someone who is given a graph, they have I think it's 60,000 times faster to be able to interpret the graph and even remember that particular information as opposed to someone who is insights and trends. So when you're creating your graphs, you'll be able to like try and ask yourself, so what is my main focus on this particular data set, so that you can be able to easily focus. And then lastly, you just are able to tell now a story that resonates with the audience interests and goals. You don't necessarily need to be there when you're telling your story. I think with a few design principles, you can easily be able to tell. So here is an example. So we have these two visuals. We have the table in A and B. So if I asked, maybe just in the chat, tell me which month had the highest sales, a month with the highest sales. What is the month with the highest sales? So just type in the chat. Then you'll tell me which graph actually you found, which particular one were you able to like easily like tell. Is it the table in A or the graph, the line graph on the chart, on chart B? So just indicate that. So I'm looking the month with the highest sales. May, everyone is saying May, using the line graph. Yeah, so yeah, I think people already like relating with the visualization. So you can easily be able to see basically the line chart, the visual B is able to like make much more sense as opposed to if someone presented the data on a table as indicated in A. So that is just something for us to be able to like consider and see how impactful it is. I need to move a bit faster. So some of the design things that you need to look at. So here is just an example. When you're doing your ranking, you consider using this particular bar chart, because someone can easily be able to show a difference. When you're looking at a deviation, look at line charts, correlations. You can be able to use what you call scatter plots. Then you'll be able now to join the dots and be able to see if there's a relationship. If you have like partial and total relationships that you want to see, you can use a pie chart, but try and see if you can be able to limit. If you're using a pie chart, then ensure you have like at least not more than 4 items that you're plotting on your pie chart. Then when you're looking at time series, you can be able to create an area chart. Then you'll be able to see the comparison, then the distribution. Then so the art of and science of effective data visualization begins in being able to like have a narrative and a story around it. Then you tailor your steps towards being able to bring it up so that your audience is able to interpret it easily. And then we have design tips for effective data visualization. So you need to choose your colors wisely. That is important. You need to select clear fonts. You need to organize your data effectively depending on the type of emphasis. I think there's another chart somewhere. I didn't include it in my presentation, which normally shows if you created your dashboard, likely most people will likely be able to like pick out your information. So that's where you have your emphasis. So if you're creating a chart and you want your people to have emphasis on it, so you need to put it at a specific point so that by the time people are looking at your chart on the screen, they can easily be able to pick out the information. Then avoid cluttering. So just have your visuals as clean and focused on essential information. Don't put so much information into it. Then gather feedback. Just test your designs, gather feedback from different individuals. If you can get maybe a small UI UX course to try to be able to make it easier for people to understand, and then the better. And then finally, you need to be able to bring your data into life by if you're creating maybe a dashboard, and you don't need to be there to be able to like tell people what it does. So when you're creating an interactive dashboard, you'll need to allow users to be able to explore and analyze data in real time. So you have to create what we call slicers that people can easily, quickly to be able to segment the data. If you need to create filters, use refined data based on specific criteria. Then if you need to create a drill through so that people can easily be able to navigate to more details in your data, again, you need to enable that. Then I hope I'm almost done. Okay. So you need to turn your data into a story. So you need to create what we call a narrative. So the narrative structure should take this particular angle, just have a beginning, a middle, and an end to your story. Then use visuals to guide the audience through the narrative, highlight key insights and key takeaways. So you can still be able to highlight key findings in your data, by just adding maybe some certain narrative so that someone can click and be able to know, like maybe you're explaining about a certain thing that happened within the data. Then when you're about visual hierarchy, you need to arrange visual elements in a way that emphasize the most important information. So the most important information should come first. Then maybe the details can now go into what we call the drill through. Then use the right sizes, the color, and the placement to be able to guide the viewer's attention. So let it be, if you need to put an emphasis on a certain visual on a Power BI report or your Power BI dashboard, then you need to ensure you put it where the viewer can easily be able to catch it out and to see it. Yeah, then Power BI service, I think I've already talked about it. So Power BI service basically enables you to share your reports in terms of collaborating with other different individuals within the organization. So it enables accessibility, scalability, and collaboration. So here is just an example of a dashboard I created. It's a HR dashboard sample. If I'm allowed, maybe I can just share the real dashboard so that it's easier for you to have a look at it. I hope you guys can see my screen. Can you see the dashboard on the web?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, this is just an example. So here we have the region. So the beauty about Power BI when you're talking about its interactivity. So if I needed to just be able to filter and to be able to know how many employees are from Africa, I'll just click on Africa. Hope it loads fast. Yeah, so you can be able to see the total headcount in Africa is 69. The turnover rate is at 30%. The revenue is 5 million. The average tenure is 8.22 years. Employee cost to revenue is 27. Then you can be able to see in 2011 is the month where we're able to hire many employees, as compared to 2017 we only had one employee joining the organization. Then you can also be able to see by gender. You can see by the tenure in terms of the bins. So you can be able to see in terms of the age, sorry, not the tenure, but the age. So you can be able to see most of the employees. This is like an aging workforce. So this can already, you can already be guiding your HR by telling them what they need to be able to focus on in terms of the recruitment, to be able to focus, so that most of these people, by the time they're retiring, they already people are replacing them. You can still be able to filter again by department. If you're talking about finance, you can easily be able to see we only have one finance individual or two finance individuals. One came in 2011 and the other one in 2015. So that's just an example. Of how Power BI is able to work. And then by the time maybe I click here, maybe I want to see this 45 plus, those who are 45 plus in terms of age. Again, I just click on that particular bar and the rest will be able to interact. So I wanted to know how many they are. By the time I hover my mouse here, I can still know there are 31 employees. But again, by the time I click on that particular bar, then everything is able to interact and I'm able to see how many are active, how many have been terminated for cause, how many are voluntarily terminated. So you can still be able to see all those particular details by the time I click on any interaction. So that is how simply, basically, I'm able to play around with my Power BI visualization. And I think I'm almost done. Yeah, so that's just like an easy way for you to be able to interact with your Power BI. So lastly, oh, sorry for that. Yeah, lastly, we'll just move to I think it's the Q&A. Yeah. So any questions, just feel free to unmute and ask. If there are questions in the chat, maybe Ken, you can guide through so that we can have it. Questions? Any questions? Did I speak too much? Did I share too much? Was it making sense?
Hey, thank you for the session. Now, as we move into the Q&A, I'm scrolling through the chat to see if we have any question, and this is what we have. Yes. The first question, what strategies do you recommend for optimizing Power BI performance reports, especially when dealing with large data sets? And then the other question is, so Power BI is not preferred to fetch big data from data warehouse. And then another question, or should I let you answer systematically as you move on? Or I can just read the
One question. One question. Let me answer the two and then we'll move to the next. So about Power BI getting big data, yeah, it's possible. We can be able to get, I'm not saying it's limiting, but what I know is that the moment you start having so much data, because you develop your reports on the Power BI desktop. So if you're loading so much data, it's a little bit, the query becomes heavy, so it takes longer to load. And so the best thing will be maybe you can try reduce the time so that you're able to optimize your query when you're getting that particular data. But I'm pretty sure it can take in it can take in a little bit more in terms of big data, because over time they've continued to optimize the Power BI so that it's able to deliver in terms of its capabilities. Yeah. And then what other question again?
What strategies do you recommend for optimizing its performance?
Yeah, for optimizing performance, I think I've already mentioned about you can reduce the time in which you're querying your data. So maybe if you're querying data maybe for 5 years, you can reduce it to 2 years. If you have like a big data set that you're finding difficult to be able to load in your Power BI desktop for performance. But yeah, it requires at some point you might find it taking too long to load. So when you're creating your reports, maybe you can change your query to just maybe load maybe a shorter period of time so that it's a bit optimal. Then you can try see also if you're getting your data from SQL, you can also try to optimize the query in SQL so that you try and see what will be a better way of aggregating the data before ingesting it into Power BI for further analysis. So you can do both. You optimize it at time-based level, or you can also optimize it at maybe specifically just to be able to look at maybe how well you can create aggregations on your query. Yeah.
Okay. This one is a question from Remy Nyongasa. I think this one is directed to Susan. How much is the cost for Power BI training? Susan, you can get in touch with Remy Nyongasa on the same. Habakkuk, there's a question here. What is the best way to share dashboards to users in organizations external to our organization without making the data public?
So I think the best will be you'll just need to create maybe an email within your domain internally, and then you share with the credentials with them so that you're able also to monitor their usage. So you need to provide for them like a domain email from your end, from your organization, so that it's not your data is not public, because again Power BI you can't make the data public apparently, so you can't share a public link for Power BI. Yeah.
Okay. From your experience, what steps can businesses take to ensure that Power BI is their tool of choice?
Okay, I'll say it's biased, okay, in terms of the preferences that the business are looking at in terms of the tool that they want to be able to utilize. I'm not saying Power BI is the alpha and omega. There are other tools in the market, also depending on the type of expertise that you have within the organization, that could be a factor to inform it. And also you could look at maybe the cost, and also maybe the preference within the organization. So they have to evaluate at those levels for them to be able to know whether Power BI is a good suit for them or not.
Okay. There's I can call it Kwele Kinzani. Somebody Paul is saying most of this can be generated by Excel. Why Power BI then?
Oh, yeah, this can be generated by Excel, but you know, Excel, someone can easily make an error on a data set. someone can easily make like their own. Okay, you have to like create reports each and every day. You have to refresh manually. But once you create a Power BI report, like the same one I've been sharing, once you've been able to create that particular report, as much as it's linked to that particular data source. So depending on the data source that you've been able to link it onto, so it's just very easy. So someone else, like there's no, like it becomes now like a dynamic report. Each and every time someone can easily be able to access it and then look at it based on their preference. So you don't have to like keep on doing repetitive tasks. It's more of an automation, more automated as compared to Excel.
Okay, now there's a question here
Yeah.
from Cynthia. Is it possible to create a dashboard with Power BI desktop version?
Yeah, it's very possible, you can create with the Power BI desktop. The only limitation is that with Power BI desktop, you wouldn't collaborate much. So it means you'll only be the one who has access to that particular dashboard. So you'll be the only one who's viewing that like particular dashboard. If you want someone to see your report, it means you have to like show them from your computer. But I realized you can also be able to download a Power BI desktop report as a PDF, and then you can share with them. So you see, that's still a manual process. And I think in this particular era, people prefer like a more automated way. If I can publish that report maybe on Power BI service, then why will I need to have it on my computer so that everyone needs to come to me every time? So those are some of the things that but you can still do it if you need to. If you are learning, you can still download Power BI desktop. It's free. You can still learn, and then maybe if you're using it in the organization, is when you can consider getting a license. Yeah.
Okay, also seeing a raised hand from Justus Locopel, Business Intelligence and Development Analyst. Justus, can you unmute and ask a question? Justus, are you with us, or the question was raised by, the hand was raised by mistake? Okay. Now, this one I think you've answered. Cynthia wanted to know, sorry, Katali request to know, can BI used to be used in institutions?
Yes, it can be used in institutions to be able to like provide the BI role, like the BI, the business intelligence aspect in terms of sharing data and stuff.
Okay. This one is a question from Cynthia, but I think it's more directed to Susan. Susan, you can be able to pick this one from Cynthia. Do you train on Power BI service as well, or desktop alone?
Okay, it's a whole thing, so you can't train on desktop alone. Okay, desktop is when you're learning, then Power BI service is just a component within Power BI that enables you to be able to share the report. So still, you can still be able to show you how Power BI service works, and yeah.
Great. I think that brings us to the end of the Q&A. And let me see. I hope I'm not locking out anyone. Kindly, if you're being locked out, just raise your hand. I'm yet to hear from Justus Locapel. Maybe that was okay. That might have been an error from my side. Mukesh is saying I have installed it, and for sure it's a powerful tool for data analytics. Thank you. Now, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me hand over the reins to this session to Joel. Joel will now take it over from here up to the end. It's been a pleasure being your captain for the little while that I've been here. And thank you very much for being attentive and for joining us for this wonderful session. Joel, over to you.
Thank you, Ken. And my name is Joel. I also am part of the team. I just want to first appreciate Abakuk for the insightful for the insights that he has shared on Power BI, and I believe everyone has gotten one or two things that they are looking forward to implementing. Just to also to thank all of us that have attended the webinar. If it was not for you, we could not be having the webinar. So feel appreciated. and also ensure that you are open-minded and you are open to learning more and more, because these things are always advancing each and every day. And upskilling is one of the things that we need also to embrace each and every day, because if we don't do that, definitely we get replaced by other people or other machines. So let's purpose to upskill and also keep on learning and learning more. We thank all of you as predictive team, and we appreciate you. And in case you have any other burning question that you might be in needing it to be answered, you can just reach to us via the phone number that has been shared in the chat box, and I will be able now to help you. We'll be having an intake for the Power BI training next week. So we are open to having you enroll with us and also get to learn more and more. And we are very much willing to walk with you through the journey, and also to also mentor each and every one of us in the field of data science. Thank you very much, and I believe that we'll have a blessed afternoon. Thank you.